I asked my parents one year for a PSP because I didn't have a PlayStation Portable. I wanted a PSP. And to be like the first game for that system, I wanted Shin Budokai. My parents were like, we're not getting you a PSP. And I was like, okay, it was a long shot anyway. I was fine with that, right? I was the type of kid that very specifically was like, this specific version of this video game on this system is what I want. And I'm still like that today. My family doesn't even get surprise gifts for each other. We just pick out our own gifts and then wrap them up and are like, you can't have that until Christmas. And it's like, well, it's November. And it's like, well, so we all know what we get. But at the time, I hit a long shot. I was like, I want the PSP with the Shin Budokai. And, you know, here's some games for some systems that I already have, and I'll denote them. I'll write parentheses PS2, so you know. And my parents were savvy enough to know that PSP and PS2 on the list were different things because they're different things, right? One has a 2 in it, one has a second P. They very straight up told me as soon as I handed them the list, we're not getting you that. They just carte blanche gave the list to my aunt and didn't take anything off it, didn't cross anything out, didn't do anything. They just gave the list to my aunt, and my aunt bought me Shin Budokai, and we have family Christmas on Christmas Eve. So it was before I got to Christmas stuff, right? And so I opened Shin Budokai and I was like, oh, Pog, it's a PSP game. And I was looking at my parents like bright and starry-eyed, and I was like, I was smart. I was like, oh my God, it's a PSP game. That means I'm getting a PSP tomorrow. And my mom had to pry that shit out of my hands and had to be like, we didn't get you a PSP. And I had to give the game back to my aunt because they didn't tell her. They didn't tell her what they told me very directly from the beginning. They didn't tell her. So she got me a PSP game for a system that I did not have and would not have until I think I was in high school. I bought one. And so I had to give it back, and I'm sitting there, my hopes were at 100%, 10,000% maybe. Immediately they were dashed. So we didn't get you that. And we told you we were gonna get you that. And I was like, I know that. I know that. Why didn't you tell my aunt? Why didn't you tell my aunt that? Why didn't you tell her? Because she bought me this game. And she was so excited for me. She's like, yes, I bought you this game and you're going to get this thing. And y'all didn't communicate. And I literally opened it up. I remember looking at it and I hugged it to my chest. And I looked at my aunt and I was like, whoa. And she's smiling at me. And I looked over to my mom, who was like behind me kind of. And I turned my head like 180. And I looked at my mom and she just shook her head at me. And I immediately knew what that meant. She didn't even have to say anything. I handed it back to my aunt and I was like, you got to go to the store and return this. And she's like confused. She's like, why? And I'm like, well, because they didn't buy me that system that it's for. And I had to explain it to my aunt. It was soul crushing.